My father's new wife tried to throw me out of my own home the day after he died. She claimed the house belonged to her now because she was his widow. I let her believe she had won until the night I exposed the truth in front of the entire family. My dad had barely passed away when Lorraine changed the locks. I returned home from the hospital at around 2 a.m. after watching him die from a heart attack, but my key refused to turn. I stood on the porch of the house where I grew up, trying the lock again and again before the reality finally hit me. I called Lorraine. She answered immediately, almost as if she had been waiting for that call. "You can come tomorrow between noon and 4 to collect your things. I'll leave them boxed in the garage. This house belongs to me now. I'm his wife. Everything goes to me. That's how marriage works, sweetheart." She said sweetheart the way someone might talk about a pest. My dad had married Lorraine only 14 months earlier after dating her for 3 months. She was 41 and he was 67. Within weeks of moving in, she had redesigned the entire house. My mother's curtains were thrown away. The kitchen table she loved disappeared, and even the handmade quilt I'd slept under since I was 6 was gone. When I complained, my dad told me Lorraine just wanted to feel comfortable in her new home. That night, I slept in my car. The next morning, everything I owned was stacked in cardboard boxes across the garage floor. Lorraine stood in the doorway wearing my mother's bathrobe. "You have 1 hour," she said. "After that, whatever's left gets donated. My husband just died yesterday, but life continues. I've already called a realtor." She was planning to sell the house my mother had designed from the ground up. The same house where my height was marked on the kitchen doorframe every year growing up. I packed my car quietly, but I wasn't defeated. I was preparing. 6 months before he passed away, my father had taken me to a small diner. He slid a manila envelope across the table. "I made a mistake marrying her," he said quietly. "She's not who I thought she was." Inside the envelope was a new will, signed, notarized, and witnessed. Everything was left to me. He had also discovered Lorraine secretly transferring money from their joint account, thousands of dollars at a time, into another account she never told him about. His lawyer had gathered all the records. "Don't tell her yet," he said. "I want to finish the divorce first." But he died before he could file the papers. Still, the will was airtight. For 3 weeks, I allowed Lorraine to believe she had won. She posted on Facebook about her new beginning at her house. She told my aunt she planned to turn my old bedroom into a yoga room. She even told my dad's closest friend she was finally free to live the life she wanted. I said nothing. I mourned quietly while letting her dig herself deeper. Then, Lorraine decided to host a family dinner. She invited relatives from everywhere for what she called a celebration of my father's memory. In reality, it was her way of announcing her control. She prepared a large dinner using my mother's recipes she had discovered in a drawer and presented them as if they were her own creations. Nearly 30 relatives filled the living room. Lorraine stood and gave a speech about how my father would want everyone to support her through this difficult transition. She talked about how the house was now her sanctuary and how she would carry on his legacy in her own way. Then she looked at me with a fake, sympathetic smile. "Of course, you're always welcome to visit." I stood up slowly. "Actually, Lorraine, I have something to share too." I took out the envelope. The room became completely silent as I read the will aloud. The house, the savings, the accounts, every single asset had been left to me. Lorraine's expression changed from confusion to shock and then pure rage within seconds. "That's fake. He told me everything was mine." He also told his lawyer about the $63,000 you moved from the joint account into a private one. I placed the bank statements on the table, dates, amounts, and account details clearly listed. My uncle stood up. "You were stealing from him?" Lorraine burst into tears. "He gave that money to me. It was a gift." "Gifts don't get secretly transferred at 3 in the morning while someone is sleeping," I replied calmly. The lawyer had documented every transaction, 11 separate transfers over 8 months, all happening while my father was on heart medication that made him fall asleep before 9 p.m. every night. Lorraine looked around the room desperately, hoping someone would defend her. Instead, every face looked back with disappointment and anger. My father's closest friend finally stood up. "I warned him not to marry you." "You can't do this," Lorraine whispered weakly. "I'm his widow. I have rights." "You have until Friday to move out of my mother's house. After that, my lawyer will handle the eviction." She grabbed her purse and rushed toward the door. My aunt stepped in front of her. "Leave the bathrobe. That belongs to my sister." Lorraine glanced down at the robe she was wearing. Without saying another word, she pulled it off, dropped it on the floor, and walked